everyone. Welcome to the Spicy Divorce Party Planner TV show. I'm your host, Spice, and today we have a very gorgeous and very intelligent woman, Renee Bauer.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, although I think that you showed up looking much better tonight than I did.
Oh, you look wonderful. I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
And your makeup, too. So, Renee, you're a divorce attorney. Can you share with our viewers how long you've been a divorce attorney and what state you're representing?
Yeah, so I live in Connecticut, and that's where I practice. I've been practicing 18 years now, and in addition to the divorce lawyer work, which is very specific to my state, I also have a podcast, and I created an online course called the D Course, which is really for anyone. It's not state specific.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I was checking that out. We're going to jump in and talk a little bit about that a little later. I wanted to know, when do you know it's a good time to file for a divorce?
So, clients ask that question all the time, and they sort of sit across from the conference room table and they say, how do you know? Mm-hmm. And, the problem with that question is they're looking for me as a lawyer to provide an answer for them. And that's an answer that no one can provide except for themselves. And once they sort of turn down the noise from their head and their friends and the internet and all of the chatter of all these external sources telling them what they should be doing, and really start listening to their own voice and start listening to themselves and their heart, that's their answer right there. That's when they know. And there's always going to be a reason why you should wait. Like people are always say, well, I'm going to wait for the kids to be older. I'm going to wait until this happens. I'm going to wait. And you're just putting you're pushing your happiness off to the future as if it's like not so important you can procrastinate that, and you can't. So when you just make that decision, you decide it's the right time for you, do it. Everything else will fall into place. Okay,
that's interesting. I've had a viewer, they left me a comment. They wanted to know, are there any loopholes in divorce court?
Yeah. So the funny thing, when you go to law school, you learn that the answer to everything is it depends. Okay. So for every answer, there is always an it depends situation. Okay. So very rarely is something so black and white. And in any divorce case, no matter what state you're in, it's very fact specific. So it has to have what happened in your specific marriage. And that's why when people say, well, I spoke to a friend's uncle's brother who told me they got this and I want that too. But that's very specific to their situation. So whatever is happening in your life, in your marriage, in your relationship is going to impact how everything else plays out and how the law gets applied.
Okay, so there is loopholes. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I guess there's one way of saying it. There's a lot of loopholes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, now my wonderful co-host is about to join us, it sounds like it. Dawn, I hope you're coming in. She's going to fly in a second. What do you think is the most important thing a person can be doing while they're going through a divorce? What should they be doing? Should they be working on themselves? Should they be financially planning?
So there's two things. They need to take control over the process and educate themselves, and not punt that to someone else to do. So even if they have a lawyer, they shouldn't be giving everything or just expecting the lawyer to handle it all without them being involved in it. So that means they should be really understanding the finances if they don't already. They should be understanding process or asking questions, and they can ask their lawyer questions. So that's the really practical part of it. But the other piece of it has everything to do with mindset. And they should absolutely need to start thinking about how to shift their mindset from this is a failure as to, okay, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to create a new life beyond that. And what is that going to look like? And what do I need to do in order to make that a reality? And so instead of becoming the victim of something that happened to them, really use that to say, okay, I want my life to look like this in a year, and here are all the steps to help that come to fruition. And so that has to do with mindset, and that has to do with that shifting or pivoting on how you're looking at sort of that victim mentality to kind of an empowerment mentality. And now you have that. Mm-hmm.
I love the way you're describing it, because a lot of my friends that are getting divorced, they're really down and out, and you're giving them power to take control of their life.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I mean, it's such an opportunity to be whoever they want.
That's true. Change it up. What have you learned about relationships? Because I read that you've been divorced twice. So what have you learned?
Oh, no.
I've been divorced. And you still look amazing after 2 divorces.
It's the ring light.
Yeah. Good. You survived.
I survived. So it's really to own your stuff. Mm-hmm. And to really understand what role you played in that. And so there's exceptions to everything. And when you're talking about domestic violence, that's a different story. But I'm talking about a relationship where that doesn't exist. And it's to really own your role and what happened in that marriage, because we all have played a role in that. And so it's to look back and evaluate like why it happened. So, for me, I had always been, despite being a lawyer, I'm very conflict adverse. And so sometimes it was easier just to kind of go along than to address things. And that was part of the downfall of one of my relationships, is because things weren't being addressed and everything kind of got shoved under the rug. And so the learning process for me is to have these communications and have these conversations about things that might be really uncomfortable as they come up. And so everyone has something like that as, what is their thing that holds them back from really fully committing to that relationship or being fully present, and learning from that. So when you move forward into that second one, hopefully there isn't a third after that. And it's learning from, it's a growth opportunity. We're constantly growing and evolving, and it's just using that relationship as an opportunity to continue to grow.
True. What inspired you to create the D course? And can you explain to our viewers what the D course is exactly?
Yeah, so the D course is a video course that I teach that walks someone through all of the steps of the divorce, but really before or during the process. Ideally, this would be something that someone is taking before they start the process, because it starts to help them to get to think about divorce in a different way. And so each pillar tackles different items. So, for example, there's a pillar on mindset and setting expectations and appropriate expectations, because expectations and improper and unreasonable ones are the reason why people end up in trials and costly divorces. Mm-hmm. So we also talk about how to divide personal property in a really, really simple way, so you're not spending thousands and thousands of dollars dividing up lamps. Wow. Talking about parenting plans and providing examples of different options, and talking about whether alimony is appropriate. And so it's not state specific, but it's really meant to give someone the tools to educate them, so when they go to hire a lawyer or they are going through that process, they're equipped to make decisions and start thinking about things from an educated viewpoint, rather than just someone telling them that they should be doing something. And that was the why I did it, is because I so often saw clients they're disorganized, and they're relying on family members or relatives or friends to tell them the way things should happen. And their friends might mean well, but they don't know any better. And so it was really just because I've seen people just survive their divorce, and I've seen people thrive after it. And the people who thrive after it do this kind of work. And they're setting proper expectations and changing their mindset, and really looking at the divorce process as not a failure, but as an opportunity. And I wanted all, it's really geared towards women, and I really wanted all women to know that it's just a moment. It's a blip in your life that doesn't define them. And so this course is really to help them get through that and not feel a stigma associated with it. And so it includes the video courses, and includes all kinds of like co-parenting guides and ebooks and journals, and over 150 pages of documents as well.
I think that's really great that, like you said, it's not state specific, so anyone across the U.S. can join. I have a question. Can we gift this to a person, like to a friend? Because I have like several friends that are getting divorced.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that idea. And I think even after this, you and I should talk, because I'll create a coupon code for it. Ooh, okay. For a gift. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. Because Miss Dawn over here is getting divorced. She's going through a divorce right now.
Hey.
You know, I fixed it.
Hey, this is our lovely co-host, Echo Dawn, over here.
Hello.
Dawn, tell
Hi,
them
Dawn.
what state you're representing.
Arizona.
Okay, and I'm in California, so we got 3 different states on right now. What inspired you to become a divorce attorney?
I did not want to become a divorce lawyer. I wanted to work in politics, and looking back, I probably would have been like chewed up and spit out. So
It's a rough world, right?
oh, it's a rough world. So yeah, I started working for a law firm who they did a little bit of everything, and all of their family cases ended up on my lap because no one wanted to do them. And I found that I really enjoyed it. I found that it was so much more than just like legal books, and it was just really helping people. And so much of, I think, who I am is that almost have that like social worker sort of feel and compassion, and you know, let's help you through this rather than just like, let's just apply the law and move on. And you know, it's not how I handle any of my cases. I look at it from a much more holistic perspective. So once I started doing it, I never looked back, and I just knew that it was my calling.
I love that. Dawn, did you have a couple of questions for her?
I did. So I was trying to figure out, because right now I'm having a difficult time with my divorce, and I'm having a difficult time trying to understand what the ramifications are in regards to what would be, or what would constitute a good contempt and to be able to bring it to the judge, or if there is anything that would be solidified as a reasonable contempt to bring to the judge when things aren't being in compliance. Only because it seems like I have to stack and stack and stack so much evidence.
Yeah.
It's just really been frustrating because it's been over a year now.
Yeah, and so, you know, part of your question is sort of a legal question that I can't provide legal advice, but one of the good, I think, rules of thumbs is can the court do something about it? So is there an action they can take to fix the situation? So sometimes people want contempt actions brought because someone's 15 minutes late picking up their child. Well, if you think about that, what do you expect the judge to do with that? Not a whole lot. But if there's something that the judge can do to fix something, and often that's a monetary, there are circumstances where children are involved too, and that's it. But so you're right, sometimes you have to have things build up, and it's not just the one thing that kind of triggers it, but it's a sort of a series of things that happens over a period of time before you go back. It's a common, I think, complaint with people, because there's just a little bit and never enough, and they're just so frustrated.
Yeah, it really is. It's almost like there's a fear that I see in regards to, well, you know, if we bring this to the court now, or if it's not enough, we're going to piss the judge off, and then he's going to swing the other way. But at the same time, there is so much. It's, you know, I just trying to figure out, because I took law myself, but you know, I didn't complete that. But at the same token, it's just like, when is enough for the judge to actually do something about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you never know. You never know when the judge is going to make a decision or say, I've seen you guys here enough, you cut it out. So it's, you know, that's a great question to ask a lawyer as to your particular situation, is how much is enough for you in order to bring something. But if it's annoying you enough, sometimes just filing it does that trick too, and makes the other person quit. But I don't know what's happening in Arizona, but I know with COVID, once something gets filed, it's really hard to get quick court dates right now. So that's another whole challenge added to all of this, because you used to be able to file something and get in very quickly, and now that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, and so that's what I was wondering too, is because I know there's a fine balance, you know, in what is reasonable, what's not reasonable. I think the more issues that are brought out, it's more or less, well, can this be resolved, or will it get resolved before we even go to the judge? And then we're wasting the time, you know?
Right.
So it's hard to understand it and balance it, and then trying to be patient with it.
And then sometimes, and I don't know your particular circumstances, but sometimes it's just not worth the fight. You know, sometimes the fight just keeps you sort of stuck in this bad energy, and you're almost better off being like, you know what, like I'm done. And maybe the other person was wrong, but it's still not worth all of the energy and the money and angst that you're going to give them for this. And you make that decision to say, I'm not going to fight that because I'd rather just have some peace.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just I think the route that I've figured out that would probably be the most effective is having all third-party outsiders make the complaints for me rather than it being me, meaning like we got the best interest attorney for the children and they're complaining about him, or a psychologist and they're complaining about the other party. Then it's not so much reliant on he said, she said. It's more of this, now they're witnesses, you know.
It's always great to have professionals involved to help when it's that level of difficulty and conflict. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Renee, can you tell us about your podcast now?
Yeah.
What has been some of your responses to your podcast? What do listeners seem to enjoy most about your show?
So my podcast launched at the end of June, and we're getting about, on average, 1,000 downloads a month. And I think like last month we got almost 1,000 downloads in the week. And so has blown my mind because I was never expecting this type of reception. I'm getting comments from people from different episodes. So the episode that dropped today was actually the CEO of Hint Water, who had a book coming out, and it's called Undaunted, and she talks about her really people telling her no all the time, and she can't do something and she won't do something, and her story of how she showed them that they were all wrong, which is a super empowering and uplifting story that has nothing to do with divorce, but it's really about rising above something. So I've also had women on there who have gone through a divorce and have come out the other side and really are thriving right now. As well as experts. I think that one of the episodes that I've gotten the most feedback was a husband and wife team who are marriage counselors, though. And I've had a lot of people say that they really, really liked their episode as to, you know, how to communicate in relationships and how to make sure that you don't end up in a second divorce or third or whatever, you know, it is. So it's been super fun. It was kind of the project that was really on the sort of a last minute thought of like, oh, maybe I'll do this. And it's been my favorite thing because I've just connected with so many people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, what are your thoughts on having a divorce party?
I love it. I think it's awesome.
Okay.
You know, it's celebrating the next phase of your life. I think that's great. Like, and you got through it and you were brave enough to make a really big, bold, scary decision and say, you know what, good enough isn't good enough for me anymore. Like, that's something to celebrate. Yes,
definitely. We agree with you. Now, can you tell our viewers why they should hire you as their divorce attorney?
So, you know, I'm not the right fit for everyone. So if you're in Connecticut and you're looking for a divorce lawyer, I can help you out. And, you know, it's all about finding the right fit. So if you want someone who really looks at things from a holistic perspective, who keeps a focus on their children and really wants to help them come out the other side as quickly and cost effectively as possible, I'm your gal. If you want someone who's going to fight over every fork or knife and, you know, everything and add fuel to the flames, that's not how I operate. You know, because of my past experience, I'm not that person. But the D-Course is for everyone. So, you know, and that's just meant to empower and educate really anyone.
Okay. Where can viewers go to learn more about you or to find you online or your podcast?
Sure.
How can they find you?
Yep. So Instagram is my favorite place to hang out. And my handle is at Ms. Renee Bauer. And then from there, everything else is linked up. All of my podcast and website and YouTube channel and all of that.
Okay. Dawn, do you have any last questions?
Well, just one quick question. What was your best experience as far as your background in divorce court? Like, did you have a best experience or wildest experience? Or
So hands down, my best experiences are always when you have two attorneys able to sit down with everyone in one room and help the people get to an agreement, and so that they can avoid going into court. That's always the best experience, because as soon as you go into court and hand it over to the judge and you have a trial, it never goes well for anyone. And there aren't winners or losers. Everyone's kind of a loser at that point.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Renee.
No problem. Thank you so much for chatting.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we will definitely follow you online and on Instagram.
Yes, I hope we could do this again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, Renee.
No problem. Thank
I'll
you,
see you
guys.
online.
Well, we can do this again.
Thank you.
Okay.